Welcome to Dallas Bar and Saloon for a special episode of Reid Between The Lines, located at 317 Cartier. It's a sports bar that you definitely want to check out. We begin tonight with what seems to be an obvious collision of two superpowers in the NBA Finals. Do the Cavs have the depth to finally bring home a championship against a great Golden State team, or will they hobble their way to defeat like a drunken bar patron? As always, we invite you to join us on our social networks at facebook.com/RBTL Sports, as well as on Twitter at RBTL Sports. We welcome to the show the man himself from Hoops Lounge. We had your better half. I don't know if I should say your better half. You're the better half, right?
It's 50-50.
There it is. That's why you guys make a great team. Thanks
humble.
for taking the time for Hoops Lounge. You're full below. Great to welcome you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
To your right is Pierre Evans-Just, RBTL contributor. I know you're pumped up after the UFC this past
Happy
Saturday.
Guys here.
There you go.
This.
There you go. All right, gentlemen, let's talk. There's never been a team that's been up 3-0 117 times in the National Basketball Association. Never has a team come back and won that series. Safe to say, Golden State's moving on. Do the Cavs have what it takes to beat them?
Absolutely. Number one, the best player in the league. I think you start there. Number two, a lot of underrated players are brought in near the trade deadline. Iman Shumpert, who I think is going to do a better job on Steph Curry than a lot of people give him credit for. Having Mozgov inside. And they just have some nice wings. I think Tristan Thompson's really coming into his own this year. And I think when you look at having Shumpert and LeBron clamping down on Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, they're going to make the rest of that team score. I don't think they're going to be able to.
Some turn around and say that there's the equalizer, right? You talk about the Montreal Canadiens, bring it to hockey, and you look at Carey Price being the equalizer as a goaltender. Chef Curry could be the equalizer for the Golden State Warriors. I mean, he's literally playing lights out. I mean, we have never seen a dominant performance like this in the postseason in a very long time.
He's playing like the MVP. There was questions in the regular season who was MVP, either him or Harden, and he's basically stepped his place in the playoffs as the MVP this year. And you know what's funny with Cleveland playing Golden? Let's say they're playing Golden State. We're figuring they're going to play Golden State in the finals. They play better without Kevin Love, which is very, very peculiar. You would think that they would feel that lost a little bit more, and you guys like Shumpert stepping up, Smith stepping up. Kyrie a little bit hobbled right now, but against Golden State, they're going to need these guys to step up even more because they're dangerous.
We talked about the bench of Atlanta versus Cleveland. Now let's extrapolate that to both benches because I think it's going to be a lot closer than people say it will be. Who do you have? The deeper bench.
Well, in the bench, you have to go Golden State because Sean Livingston's been fantastic. David Lee, even though not huge minutes, he can be very productive. Andre Iguodala. They just have more talent. I mean, if you look at the salaries of their bench, it's equal to some stars.
One of the best benches I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while I think had Cleveland been healthy, and to your point before about Kevin Love, this has allowed Tristan Thompson to bring in that offensive rebounding, that defense, and allowed the offense to flow a little better because before
be more creative as well.
Exactly, but there was one ball of three guys who needed the rock. Now there's two really, and the other guys play kind of a 3-and-D mentality.
And you don't have to run the offense for him. He's a guy that you take him off the bench and you put him in the starting lineup, and he's an offensive rebound machine. That's all. Basically, he could do that all day, and that's a point that Cleveland definitely has right now.
You've got two great storylines with the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. How good is this for the NBA? I mean, this is phenomenal for the NBA to see two teams like this duke it out. I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Well, I mean, when you're looking at the semifinals, we were seeing the two head-to-head MVP finalists in James Harden and Steph Curry, and then you were seeing the feel-good story of the year, the Atlanta Hawks, and then LeBron James, the third MVP finalist.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the best of the best making it there, and there's no, I mean, unfortunately, this playoffs have been kind of plagued with injuries all around, but like I said at the start of the season, Golden State has the complete ability to win the whole thing, but they've been really lucky. They're one of the few teams that haven't had the injury bug hit them hard. For years in the past, Andrew Bogut, who's the linchpin to that defense in the middle and allows them to play small, has stayed healthy, and that's key.
You take a look at the sheer dominance of the Golden State Warriors. Safe to say that we haven't seen a team like this dominate the postseason since the 96-97 Bulls?
I think it's the team that's closest to them. I mean, they won 67 wins in the regular season. Curry playing at an MVP level. Klay Thompson's established himself as one of the best two guards in the league. They're a special bunch, and I mean, Steve Kerr in his first year as a head coach, having these guys play so well together. These guys, they play for each other. You can see that they enjoy playing basketball with one another. That's a special team to watch, but they have a tough play ahead of them if they're playing LeBron James, that's for sure.
What I'm enjoying is the energy you two are bringing. We're continuing on right here, Reid Between the Lines. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot more coming up right here on Reid Between the Lines.
Reid Between the Lines is brought to you by enconfiance.ca. Find your dream home.
Some would say the acronym for the Leafs is losing even after 40 seasons. That might sound harsh, but after the MLSE threw Austin Powers money to hire Mike Babcock, they seem convinced they can put an end to their losing ways. On this week's Four Downs, we discuss how much a coach can actually bring to the table to a team lacking talent. As always, we invite you to join us on our social networks on Facebook.com, RBTL Sports, as well as on Twitter at RBTL Sports. Welcome back, Phil Boileau, Pierre Just. $6.25 million for this guy. He's being paid more than Andrei Markov. I've never seen this before. This is crazy. This is all-star status. Can he really turn it around?
I mean, it's going to take a little bit more than a coach, right? I mean, in hockey compared to other sports, a coach does have an enormous impact. But unless he's putting on skates and actually scoring some goals, they're going to need
what they're asking.
They're going to need a bit more talent than this, right? So for me, you're setting the foundation, the top, building down. I understand that. I think it's a great move. But you have to also further that with saying we're going to have a rebuilding phase now. You can't stay where
rebuilding.
you
I think
are.
I've heard that in Toronto for the last
what, 20, 30, 40 years?
You know, last 12 years, they keep rebuilding, and the end result is a lot of people will say that it starts at the hierarchy at the top. It starts at MLSE, who's too involved in the organization of day-to-day operations. Does Shanahan really have carte blanche here?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does, but it's a matter of patience when it comes to Toronto. First of all, the people at MLSE, do they have the patience to look this through?
Corporate sales are there.
Yeah, when you're paying
so they got all the patience in the world, right?
When you're paying a guy $6 million a year, that's basically you're asking him to win you the cup within the next 5 years at least. Babcock, he knows that ahead of time, so it's just a matter of them being patient. They're not going to win next year, even though I heard Don Cherry saying that. Being realistic, they're not going to win next year. They have to, now they have decisions to make. The players that they have, can they build around some of these guys? Not sure. So what do you do now? You have the draft. Who can you get in this draft? We're all hearing in this draft, it's a two-player draft. You have McDavid, you have Eichel.
Yeah, Kessel, Kadri is a
what
big
are you
issue.
doing?
Fanev is a big issue.
Can you move up in the draft? Complicated. So for Babcock, the key is going to be to make the fans of Toronto understand that it's going to be a process. He knows what he's doing. He's a cup-winning guy, a gold medal-winning guy. It's a matter of them looking this through, and I think they have the chance to do it.
And I think a coach does have the pull to turn a team around. You look at Barry Trotz, right? One of the greatest coaches, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best coaches in the National Hockey League. You look at Bruce Boudreau. What has he done with Anaheim? Right? How well he's done in Anaheim and how he's turned this team and turned the identity of the team around. Question is, do they have the talent? Do they have the players to do it? And I don't think Toronto does.
I don't think they do, but I don't think he needs to win right away.
No, he doesn't.
I think when you bring someone in, you're talking culture, you're talking plan down the road, you're setting the framework.
Parameters,
yeah.
Exactly, and you draft and bring in guys who fit his system now. I think there's going to be a very short leash for those guys who do not at this point, because they're realizing we're losing, and why would we pay to keep losing, right? So if you're not fitting our system, which we're building, you're gone. The same can be paralleled in many sports with many successful franchises.
But it's not going to be that easy for him because of no trade clauses, because of some of the heavy contracts he has. Some of the guys are not motivated. Kessel is probably the biggest issue they have right now. Fanev is another big issue. Getting Kadri motivated is another. He's got his hands full with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's surprising because they had a great run in the playoffs. They looked pretty until that epic meltdown in the third period, up 3-0 and 3 games to 0 in the series. What do you expect from Toronto, from both of you? I'd like to hear your opinions about Toronto. Will they make playoffs next year under Mike Babcock?
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but that's not the point. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. I'm stating that forward. They're not going to make the playoffs, but year 2, year 3, year 4, I'm starting to expect them to make the playoffs in these years. Would they have made the moves at that point to go ahead and not only make the playoffs and contend? I think it's possible. It's a matter of them not only being patient, but you mentioned Kessel. They have decisions to make. And when you bring a guy like Babcock with the credibility that he has, there's some guys that are gonna be left out, and Kessel could be one of them. Kadri, even though he's an Ontario kid, a Toronto kid, he might get left out too. And that's the kind of decision that you have to make when you go forward. You have to make those tough decisions, especially with a guy like Babcock that's expecting greatness. Toronto's expecting greatness. When you're paying a guy $6 million, you're expecting greatness over the long run. So it's not a matter of the team that they have. It's a matter of what pieces they need to get rid of to bring some of the better guys to build a cup-winning team.
Well, no, absolutely. But I mean, if these guys are being pushed back, like I like your timeline, I'll push it back maybe 1 year.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm expecting things 3-4, year 3 and 4, and just to piggyback, no, I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Just to be clear on that one. And I'm not trying to be a homer being a Habs fan, but I just think it doesn't matter if those guys don't want to play. they're not going to make it. It's going to be that simple, and I think they'll be willing to get worse before they get better, and I think this signing shows that.
I agree.
Love the energy you guys are bringing. I want to switch gears a little bit, talk about the UFC. There was quite the fight on Saturday night. Some would say not too much of an important fight. Stay with us. We're talking UFC after the break.
Reid Between the Lines is brought to you by Pizzeria Cartier, the king of pizza. Visit us online at www.pizzeriacartier.com or call us at 450-667-6332.
It was a much-anticipated fight that meant nothing as the top pretender in the light heavyweight division, Daniel Cormier, faced off against the #1 contender, Rumble Johnson, for a belt that Jon Jones lost himself. On this week's Pretender Contender, we asked, was this matchup the best format to discover the UFC's new champ? Welcome back, Phil Buello, Pierre Evans-Just, great to see you gentlemen. I don't know about you guys, but the fight didn't tell me anything. It didn't do anything for me. I know they needed to decide a new champion, but I think there could have been different ways of going about it. Your thoughts?
You're definitely right. For me, it was definitely a pretender because the best guy in the world, hopefully he gets his life straightened out, but the best fighter in the world wasn't involved. So even if you strip the championship away from him, in our minds, we still know that he's the champion. So for me, a tournament would have been the best bet. It would have been the best idea. It would have brought in some new life in the division that surely needs some, and I think they should have gone that route. It was a missed opportunity.
Did he show a little bit of class by calling out Jon Jones like that at the end of the fight, considering the fact that
lack of class,
yeah. Considering the fact that he basically got his, he's got his rear end handed to him a couple of weeks ago.
Well, he was beating his chest, right? And anytime you win a fight like that, the testosterone's pumping, you feel like you're on top of the world. And you know what?
It's like a Richard Sherman moment.
He's kind of marking his territory, right? Because at the same point, he knows that Jon Jones could potentially never be back. And you know what? I don't necessarily agree with you. I think a tournament style could have been interesting, but I think the UFC has to squash this as quick as possible, right? And announcing a new champion as quickly as possible with a one-on-one format allows them to pump this guy up, and allows people to forget a little bit about Jon Jones.
You think this was a calculated move from the UFC to squash the negative press that it was getting, get the champion in there, and let's start rolling, versus, which is what I would suggest, would have been a complete reshuffle of the top 10. Get a couple of key matchups going out, get some matchups we haven't seen yet, and bring these guys to find out who.
But to your point, that's our best bet. That will be our best idea.
From a fan's perspective.
Right. Dana White, from a businessman, UFC president perspective, for him, he couldn't be any more happier than Daniel Cormier won. He's on Fox. He's one of the lead analysts on TV. He's well-spoken, Olympic athlete. It's probably the best guy you would want in that position after everything that Jon Jones has been going through. So in their minds, they're probably telling people in the back that they're impartial and they're unbiased.
Well, what they're putting for is different.
But they were rooting for Daniel Cormier pretty hard last night.
I was, let's be honest, I was surprised with Daniel Cormier winning that fight. Rumble Johnson, has 4 first-round knockouts. It's the UFC record. He looks phenomenal. He is phenomenal. He's an incredible fighter, incredible striking power. Daniel Cormier, though, is an Olympic-style, Olympic-level athlete. Is that what finally ended up, coming in handy for him? Is that what was the difference for him?
He fought the Daniel Cormier fight. He withstood a lot of barrages of punches in the first round, then started grinding them out. And Anthony Johnson, as good as he is, as you mentioned, as powerful he is, he has a tendency to gas out. And if he doesn't get you out of there in the first round, you can make it a fight. And Daniel Cormier is a guy, he's a tough guy, but on top of that toughness, he's a great athlete and
he's super motivated after his last
and motivated because
fights, right?
he knows. He mentioned it as well that he cried after the fight with Jon Jones because he thought that he had lost that opportunity. So having that opportunity months later, for him, it's a blessing in disguise.
And he got to play his game plan the entire time.
Exactly.
Right? And in most sports, when you play your game plan and force your opponent to do something they're not comfortable with, as in go those extended rounds, you're playing into your own hand.
The game plan here is to continue on right here. Read Between the Lines. We're talking Chicago Blackhawks. Don't go anywhere. It's happening right here on Read Between the Lines.
Read Between the Lines is brought to you by Mansfield Athletic Club. Visit them at clubmansfield.ca.
Read Between the Lines is powered by the Quebec Recreational Soccer League. Feel the rush. Visit them online at www.qrsl.ca for more information.
Welcome back. Considering the incredible hockey we've seen in the Western Conference Finals, safe to say the momentum could swing either way. Proof being the Anaheim Ducks setting a new record with 3 goals in the postseason in 37 seconds. The boys are back, and we're making our picks for who we think will be the unsung heroes. Welcome to the show, Pierre Evans-Just, Phil Below, and now we welcome George Solister, the manager here at Bar Dallas Sports Bar. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I know you're a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan. A lot of people will say that goaltending needs to step up to the plate. Taves needs to step up to the plate. There's a lot of things that need to happen for Chicago to move on. Who you got as your unsung hero?
For Chicago or as a whole?
Let's start with Chicago.
For Chicago, I have the goaltenders. Somebody has to step up. Whether it's Crawford, whether it's his backup, somebody has to play a little bit better. Because in this playoffs, as we noticed, there's nobody that's made the difference in net. Seabrook as well could be another one of them on defense that has to step up his play, definitely for them to go forward. Because at the moment, it's a crapshoot, and Anaheim's for real. Like they can't play.
That's surprising because goaltending traditionally has been what propels teams to.
But I would go with Shaw. I would say Shaw is the go-to guy for Chicago. He does what he has to do to cross the line. And when he does cross the line, the first thing he does is parks himself in front of the goalie, which is his office. You got Jonathan Toews, you got Patrick Kane, you got Hossa, you got Sharp, you got all the big guns. But you got Kessler that's on glue on Toews.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, a lot of people are disappointed with the way Toews has been playing, but they don't know how good Kessler is on him, right? It's literally a one-on-one matchup with those two.
That's why, because in the series in 2009 and 2011, Vancouver versus Chicago, Kessler and Toews played together. So that's where it started. And now Kessler being in Anaheim, Boucher has them on because they played together in the series when Kessler was in Vancouver. Every time Toews is on, Kessler's on. So right there was one elimination.
Right. They cancel each other out.
Yeah, they cancel each other out. So at the end of the day, Shaw, what I think, is going to step up and be the hero. Even though he's not a big name like Kane, Hossa, Sharp, and the rest of them, Seabrook, Keith, I think Shaw's the go-to guy.
And that's a great point because very often they're the guys who are not big names, right? Who actually become the unsung heroes. They're the guys who you need. And you see with Tampa Bay with Tyler Johnson right now. I think the unsung hero, I wouldn't say it's an unsung hero, but I think it's something that Chicago needs, is their power play. They've been really, really lucky to have the success they've had on the power play, and if Anaheim keeps giving them those opportunities, they have a great shot moving on. I mean, there's multiple reasons, but you look at the success they've seen on the power play, and that's one of them.
Well, no, absolutely. But I think their ability to score goals is there. They have the talent, and I think their power play will improve. I think what you mentioned to start off the whole thing with their goaltending in Crawford, most teams that are successful have a goalie steal 1 or 2 games in a series. We haven't seen that from this team, and I think that's going to be the difference between the team that is good to get to this point.
Well, hold on, not necessarily, because Crawford that we saw in Game 3 and Game 4 against Nashville was lights out. I mean, he saved 137 shots on 100.
Well, he's going to have to continue being.
I mean, he was lights out. But George, maybe you can support this. You've seen both sides of Corey Crawford. Which side are we going to see in the next 2 games?
Well, he has to know that. My point of view is Crawford is a good goalie, but what he knows that he also has the players to back him up. It's not like, for example, Carey Price in Montreal. He's the best goalie in the world. We all know that, but he doesn't have the players. The team plays as a family. Chicago Blackhawks, whether it's Toews, Kane, Hossa, they got so many guns, and when they get on the power play, they're just too dangerous. So not to cut you off, what I think, if Anaheim goes easy on the penalties, as much as Chicago fan that I am, I think Anaheim might take this one. That's what I think.
So you agree they need the power play? Yeah, Chicago needs the power play.
I was going to say as a side caveat, I was like, is it possibly a disadvantage for the goalie to know you have that backup plan of so much talent in front of you, right? Because when you're Carey Price and you know you have to save the day, game in and game out, you have no choice but to be razor sharp. When you have these boys around you, maybe it allows you to be a little more lackadaisical here. And I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying,
there's definitely a relation in between being a flip-flop goaltender on a team that's stacked versus a guy who's solid on a team that's not. Grant Fuhr is your perfect example. He's the only goaltender in the National Hockey League inducted in the Hall of Fame with a 3+ goals against average over the course of his career. Has he had some stinkers? Absolutely, but he had a team in front of him scoring 6 goals, right? But I think on the flip side, we looked at Chicago real quick. Now, I want to just get your final thoughts with regards to Anaheim. You were talking off camera about how stacked this team is. You look at Perry, Getzlaf, Palmieri, Henderson's playing lights out. Who is the one guy for you that needs to really step up? Corey Perry's done his fair share. You can't ask for more from Corey Perry. He's really played really well. Who do you got? You have somebody in particular?
For Chicago, like I mentioned before, Seabrook. I think we all know that Duncan Keith is probably the best player on that team. You normally would say Kane, you would say Toews, but I mean Duncan Keith is probably the best all-around player on the team. But his line mate Seabrook has to step up. He has to probably steal a game other than the goaltender in that series, because right now Anaheim is playing with a little bit more confidence, even though Chicago stole that last game in double overtime. It's a matter of them playing at the right time, but the experience that they have, winning before, winning 2 Stanley Cups, I think they can eke that one out.
If it's not Chicago on Chicago's side, because we know you're with Seabrook, who do you have on Anaheim's side real quickly?
Anaheim, I have Getzlaf. I think Getzlaf, as the leader of the team, he can rally the guys to beat Chicago. And for him, it's just a matter of being consistent and giving that edge, that physical presence that he can provide.
Real quick.
I'm going to give it again to Getzlaf as well, but I'm going to lean 50-50 with the goaltending because again, it's about stepping up, make it happen. These are 2 powerful team powerhouses in the West who can score a ton of goals in bunches.
True.
But whoever can shut the door first.
George.
I would go with Getzlaf, but like I said, both teams, they can't finish it within 60 minutes. If you watch the series, it's triple overtime, double overtime. So whether you got Jonathan Tays, Getzlaf, Corey Perry, you have the big guns, whatever it takes, they got to finish it before it goes to the OT. So I'd say I would go Anaheim, I would go Getzlaf. I would agree with you 100%.
I would say that you two are the big guns on today's show. Thanks for taking the time. Congratulations on all your success, Phil, with the Hoops Lounge. Great initiative. Montreal needs basketball talk, and you guys are the ones to give it. Where can people catch you in action?
www.hoopslounge.com as always, and youtube.com/the Hoops Lounge. So you can check out all our videos there. Mostly videos, have some articles going too. We do interviews, commentary videos, the whole bit.
And you guys broadcast real quickly on Saturdays, right?
On Saturdays, exactly, from Maison Sociale, Green Room Radio on Saint Laurent. So if you're around and want a coffee or anything to watch us do it live, but then we have our stuff up online. So basketball content from Montreal perspective every week.
We've been trying to get you on for a while, and I'm really glad this all worked out. Thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
George, love the place. We're back here next week. Thanks for welcoming us. This place is jammed from Thursday to Sunday. Talk to us a little bit about what you have going on week in and week out.
For sure. Well, on Thursdays, what we do is we have karaoke night. We also include a ladies' night. Fridays, what we do, we bring a guest DJ. It's also ladies' night included. Saturdays, we bring a live rock band.
And I might add that ladies' night is open bar for the ladies on Thursday and Friday. That's an important point there.
Open bar for the ladies till midnight, which is Thursday and Friday. Saturday, we bring in live rock bands. We also do charity funds, fundraisers, which includes a little poker tournament, Texas tournament as well.
Pay-per-views.
Pay-per-views. We got all the sports, name it, UFC, whatever it has to do with pay-per-view. This is the spot.
You got it.
Absolutely the spot, and we'll be back here next week. Thanks for taking the time, George.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Stay with us. My rant is up next. You don't want to miss it.
Read Between the Lines is brought to you by Diadora. Available at diadora.com. Read Between the Lines is brought to you by Tilmar.ca. Innovative designs in the ceramic industry.
2 weeks ago, I took to task the age of outrage, rallying against the senseless expectation that athletes should somehow give us our moral cues. Be that as it may, that doesn't mean if you read between the lines, you won't see incredible stories of triumph, of overcoming unimaginable odds. The NBA playoffs has given us both great entertainment and inspiring narratives. In the East, you have a king who, with his men wounded, has put a city and a team on his back. In the West, you have the league's newly crowned MVP leading his team on an unbelievable run like we've never seen. Or take linebacker Lorenzo Malden. With both parents in jail, Malden's nomadic childhood saw him go through 16 foster parents. That alone is enough to take the air out of a kid's dreams. Oh, but that only strengthened Malden's reserve as he rose above the odds of over 400,000 foster kids to realize his dreams in getting drafted by the NFL's New York Jets. Or most inspiring of all, look at a game changer like Tristan Lassard, last week's guest on our show. He was born with spina bifida, a debilitating spinal cord defect with no signs or cue. Refusing to be confined to a wheelchair, Tristan instead has used it as a vehicle to pursue his dream of making the Paralympics, making it a mission of his to reframe what's possible. That leads us to the media. We play such a big role in shaping the narrative. Maybe we have to challenge ourselves to find the feel-good story, not just offering low-hanging fruit of controversy and crime. Maybe it's time we told stories that will create less rage and more rejoicing. Ultimately, there's plenty of inspiration around us. You just have to read between the lines. On behalf of the entire team and the team at Dallas Sports Bar, thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you next week.
RBTL road trips are fueled by Avis Budget Hotel 10. Cars or trucks, we strive to exceed your expectations every time. pass by to see us at 2112 Saint Laurent, corner Sherbrooke, or call us for the guaranteed lowest prices at 514-798-7317. Catering services provided by piattorustico.com, authentic Italian cuisine. Adam Reid's wardrobe is courtesy of Club Uomo, available at clubuomo.com. Salon services powered by Glam Atelier, La Maison de Beauté. Guests of Reid Between the Lines stay at Hotel 01, located in the heart of the show and entertainment district. Limousine services provided by AmbianceLimousines.com, Montreal's premier limo company. Reid Between the Lines is brought to you by Mansfield Athletic Club, the ultimate fitness center in the heart of downtown Montreal and Quartier d'Istrante. Achieve the results you deserve and visit them at clubmansfield.ca.